Today we are going through the top 10 manga of all time. For real this time. Or at the very least, I actually have 10 this time. Alright, this is the 2025 update to my top 10 manga list of all time that I did last January. I'm doing it again this January. I will update this maybe every year depending on what I read and how many I have to add or take away from the list, how drastically different I feel like the list is going to look. Basically, the only rule to this list is I have to have read the entire manga. If I'm somewhere in the middle of reading it, I can't put it on this list just yet. And the manga doesn't even really have to be complete. I just have to be completely caught up with everything that is out. Also, it doesn't really matter the length of the manga. It could be as small as a one-shot or as large as a complete series. They are all equally eligible to be on this list. Also, I didn't look at my old list when I put this together, so this could be drastically different than the last one. I intentionally didn't look at the old list because I wanted to really put it together as to how I was feeling right now in this moment in time, because as I live and as I get further away from series, or I think about them more, or my opinions kind of grow and evolve over time. So my list could just naturally change and my opinions might shift over time, and that's perfectly fine. Actually, as a matter of fact, I set the list down on paper, and then I got the books out and I set them all here next to me. And even when I had them sitting there, I was like, no, that's not right. And I'm like moving books around in the stack because even from the time I made the list to the time I set the books here, I was like, I don't think I agree with what I did last night, anyway. And there's some things on here that really surprised me when I started actually giving them numbers and putting them in order. I was like, that's going there? Really? Are you sure about that? And then the more I thought about it, I was like, no, I think that's where it belongs. It surprised even myself. I even surprised myself with some of the things that didn't make the list. Like last year, I would not have seen a reality where this list existed without Battle Angel Alita on it. And here we are. Spoiler alert, here we are. There's also going to be some heavy hitters that don't make the list that people would probably expect to see on the list like this, like Poon Poon or Monster, but they just aren't here. So don't be mad at me. This is just my opinion. Anyway, getting into the list here, we're going to start it off right at the top with number 10, and that is Dorohedoro. I just adored Dorohedoro when I read it. It is so much fun. The art is so good, and I say that knowing that it kind of looks like crap because it's so sketchy and so dirty and so messy, but that's kind of what I love about it. And it's just, I love everything about it. The style, the vibe, the energy, the comedy. Oh my God, the comedy in this is so good. It is hard to put into words just how funny some of this is. I wasn't a huge fan of the anime adaptation. I thought it kind of missed the mark on the tone and kind of what made this so great. This isn't about the anime. This is about the manga. And Kyu Hayashida is just, she's wonderful. She has just a way with the humor, and the characters and everything about it was just so good, so well done. I don't even know what to tell you that this was about. It's about some real ridiculous shenanigans and people getting up to some real crazy shit. Great though. Absolutely wonderful. I don't know how much longer it's going to be on the list considering it made its way to number 10, but as of this year, it's not going anywhere. Number 10, Dorohedoro. Next up at number 9, and people are going to be mad at me. They were mad at me last time when this was on the list. They're going to be mad at me again, and it is Knights of Sidonia. And I just absolutely love this. I ate it up. I don't know why. It's just so phenomenal. This is Tsutomu Nihei, who is probably my favorite mangaka. And it's almost like, what if Tsutomu Nihei drew like a Gundam-style space mech battle manga, but it's also a harem, which makes literally no sense. Nothing in that sentence adds up, makes any sense, doesn't sound like it should on any level work, and it is fabulous. It is so entertaining. That once again, the art is just so good. He's so good with like contrast and with color and with just everything about it's just so good. And I loved it. And on top of that, it's entertaining as hell. It is just fabulously entertaining. Now, once again, we're going to talk about an anime because my love for this might also be kind of tied up in my love for that anime because that is really, really a good show. If you have not seen it, go watch it. It takes this and it adds just a kinetic energy to it. And it's also, I want to say computer animated. I think it was done by like Polygon or somebody like that, where it's like basically CG, but they kind of make it look like it's hand drawn. But it is wonderfully well done, fabulously, just beautiful looking anime as well. But I know people always get grumpy. For some reason, people get grumpy when I put Knights of Sidonia on this. Actually, I think last time it was because of how high on the list it was. It doesn't matter. I love it. I enjoy everything about it. Even the lackluster ending. I was fine with the ending. I think people don't like it because it was kind of like a letdown to a lot of people. I was fine. I don't know. I enjoyed the shit out of that manga. Almost said anime. Next up, this is another one that surprised me. This, when I was putting the list together, I was like, man, is that really going on here? And is it really going that high, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And it's not that this is really high, but it is Goodbye, Eri. And I think it's because it was just a little one shot, this one little blip of a thing. And I wasn't super huge on Chainsaw Man, although I haven't read it, I only saw the show. But I wasn't like real big into it. So when I read this and I just ate it up, I love this. This is a really, really good story. And it's so, not only is it a good story, but it's so well told and it's so deep and it's so layered and you can glean so many different things from the story, and you could read it on a 100% surface level, or you can go 1 or 2 or 3 layers deep. The layers deep into Goodbye Eri that you could go is kind of insane. And it's short. Like, it's literally, this is the entire story. And I could get more from this than I could some of these things that are way longer. Some of these manga that take up so much more time. Masterfully told, really, really good. And it's one of those things where like the end kind of recontextualizes everything that you've read before, kind of makes the story into something different than it was the first time you read it. You can read it a second time and you get a very different experience than you did the first time. It's good. Really, really good. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed this when I read it. Next up is going to be Akira. And this one, I don't even know what to say. This is absolutely fabulous. And it's, did you expect anything else? I know I didn't. I expected it to be great, and it was. It really makes as monumentally awesome as the movie is, and it is monumentally. It's like an absolute powerhouse in film history, period. But I really liked delving into the world and the story so much more and so much deeper. And we get all of the different layers of the politics and the kids and the program. And you learn so much more about the background and the history and the everything. It's wonderful. And the kinetic energy in this book was truly fascinating. Like, it is, the kinetic energy in the art is palpable. You literally, I mean, you can feel the energy from shot to shot to shot to shot, and it doesn't stop, man. It goes, it puts the pedal to the metal, and it doesn't stop. And for something using still images, the momentum is insane. Now, next up, this is another one that surprised me because of how low it ended up on the list, and that's Uzumaki. I really thought this was going to take a much higher number than this, whichever number I am on. And there's just stuff that goes ahead of it that I kind of couldn't let it budge. And that's okay, because Uzumaki is one of those things that I read, and it really kind of solidified in my mind. This and Berserk really solidified in my mind that Manga is a medium that is to be taken a little bit more seriously than I originally was taking it in my mind, or at least how I had thought of it. Because I came to manga later in life, I didn't grow up with it. I kind of came to it in my late 30s and just decided to dabble in it, and I ended up kind of falling in love with it. And it's kind of like that cozy read. I still really probably prefer actual like word book reading, but there's something about just like I'll grab like a real book, a regular book, and go to cozy up on the couch at night, and I'd be like, you know what, not tonight. And I go find myself one of my manga, and I sit down with it, and I'm like, that's better. So it just depends. Sometimes I'm just in the mood for it. Anyway, I didn't talk about Uzumaki. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. Uzumaki is just the journey that it took me on, and sometimes it almost took me out of the journey about the halfway point when I was like, I'm just not captured with this anymore. It's become silly. I'm not sure what we're doing anymore. And then you kind of get lost in the story again, and then you get to the end and you get that sinking feeling in the spiral, the downward spiral that the story is about, but then there's the downward spiral that is the story itself. And they kind of marry up so beautifully together. Really, really good stuff. Really good story, really good reading experience. Next up, number 5 is going to be Vagabond. And I actually, with my one rule of, I have to be completely caught up. I know there's still a volume out there that I haven't read. I'll get to it, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to break that rule for this video. Vagabond is officially on the list this year, and it is number 5. It is another one that I thought kind of assumed was going to go higher on this list, and I just couldn't get it any higher than 5. It's just kind of where it ended up settling. It's one of the big 3, so I expected it to be higher on the list. I'm sure maybe there's a few viewers out there that would have expected it to be higher on the list. I did a full, like, not chapter by chapter, but like a full read through of this one, kind of like I did with Berserk, and it was just fabulous. I enjoyed everything about it. I love the book that it's based on, Musashi, and once again, just the artwork in this is just superbly next level. The skill of Inoue is really, really top notch. Like, if you were to have a conversation of the best like artists and the best art in manga, I feel like Inoue should be at least a part of that conversation. He's really good, and then the story that he's telling is so introspective, and the editing, the way the scenes are edited together and the way they flow together in order to take something that might be, somebody practicing in the snow, or just something that's extremely introspective, and he'll be intercutting it with another scene which adds a kinetic energy to something that shouldn't even have a kinetic energy to it, but he really finds a way to give a driving force and a momentum to a manga that is essentially extremely slow paced and extremely introspective. It's very, very masterfully told story for sure. Number 4 on the list is going to be Trigun. And this is another one that is just so near and dear and beloved to my heart. And this is one, if I'm being 100% honest, I could see slipping from this spot, because even when I was putting the list together, I was like, do I really want to put Trigun this high on the list? I want it to be this high on the list. I love it. Actually, most of my love stems from the anime, the OG anime from like 98 or something like that. And I wonder how much of my love for this is tainted by my love for that. You see what I'm saying? Like wrapped up in it, because I want this to be so high on the list, and it definitely belongs on this list. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm wondering, as I was making the list, I was like, is this particular manga as good as I think it is? Or is my love being tainted by nostalgia and just love for other things in general? I don't know, but I'm putting it here, damn it. This is where it's going to stay, at least for this year. But like I said, I feel like I could slip in the future, but for today, it's going right here. And it's just wonderful. This is another one that the art is just, I'm going to say this till I'm blue in the face, but the art is just amazing in this one as well. The art doesn't track well in this, though. Let's be real. You get lost in a battle and you're like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. What's happening on the page right now? The rule of cool is the only thing that matters in the art in this. Tracking and paneling and being able to follow what's happening doesn't matter. So I guess that's a negative, but I kind of didn't care by the time I was done with it also, because it was just that good. And the character work in this is really, really good as well. You will become so in love with the characters in this. You will become so invested in the characters in this. You will have Vash, you will have Wolfwood, you will have all of them. And some of the latecomers that you pop up towards the end of it that you're like, why are we introducing this character? And then you end up being almost just as invested in them as you were in some of the other ones. It's really, really well done. Great story, great, I don't know. Everything about it I really liked. I even enjoyed the ending quite a bit, which some people didn't like. I think, because it kind of, I don't want to spoil the ending here. Just I in my comment section, I had a few people that really disliked the ending, and I thought it was quite good. I was satisfied, and I felt good when it was over. Now, here's the one that really surprised me, like really, really surprised me. That's number 3 on the list, and it is Dragon Ball. This is the one. When I was putting the list together, I was like, is that really going at number 3? And I put it in, and I kept, I'd compare it. I was like, well, this versus Trigun. No, that one. This versus Vagabond. No, Dragon Ball. This versus Goodbye. No, everything I put it up against, I could not. I was shocked. Anyway, and when I say Dragon Ball, I mean all of Dragon Ball, and Dragon Ball Z. The whole, I think in Japan, it just is Dragon Ball. Either way, it's, oh my gosh, it's so good. The art is so good. Now, this is a little bit clean, and this is a little bit more pared back. There's a lack of detail. I don't mean like a lack of detail. I don't know how to explain it. It's so crisp. It's so clean. It's so clear as to who is on the page and what is happening. It's like the exact opposite of Dorohedoro. If it's dirty and messy, this is the clean art. And it's also kind of like the opposite of Trigun in the sense that you can't track shit in that. You could almost speed read this, read it like a damn flip book. It's so well done as far as who is where and how and what the motion and the action is. I mean, almost unparalleled, and maybe unparalleled. And then there's the story and the heart and the characters, and you will be invested in every single one of them, except for maybe the kids in the Boo arc. Actually, the whole Boo arc. Let's talk about the Boo arc. The Boo arc is a step down from every arc that came before it. It is probably my least favorite arc in the whole thing. It is the exact epitome of not sticking the landing, and still it ended up as number 3 on the list because everything else about this is so phenomenally strong that it just couldn't go anywhere else. Goku, Vegeta, so good. Then there's the comedy. I haven't even brought up how absolutely laugh out loud hilarious this was. And I loved, in particular, Dragon Ball way more than I expected to. I mean, Dragon Ball is essentially like the kids' manga. Like this, that's a shonen, like shonen. And I read it for the first time as a 40-year-old and was literally laughing out loud at it. It is that good, that well written. I don't know. I loved it. Anyway, next up is number 2 on the list, and these ones actually are the same as the last time around because I do remember these two from the last year. Of course I do, and that is Berserk. And this is it. This is the one. This is what started the whole thing. I wanted to kind of know what all the fuss was about, and like I said, I grew up watching anime my entire life, but I had never delved into the manga side of actually I've never read comic books of any kind really ever. And I've got this whole channel, and I was like, you know what, let's give it a crack. Let's see what happens. And I am so eternally glad that I did. I love everything about this manga. I love everything about the series. Once again, if you're going to talk about the greatest manga artists and the greatest art in manga, this is another one that definitely needs to be a part of the conversation. Actually, now that I'm saying all this out loud, I might have to try and maybe rank those, come up with who I think is actually deserving of like maybe some of the best manga artists out there. I don't know. I'm just thinking this through as I'm talking about it. Anyway, Berserk and the story of Guts and the struggle of Guts, let's be honest, is just next level storytelling. Period. The story that this will take you on, the story that you will go through, the Golden Age arc itself is some of the greatest things fiction that I have probably read. Really, really high ranking stuff. It is fabulous, and just all the way up through today and the passing of Miura and what they've had to do moving forward without him. And I think it's doing a fabulous job moving forward without him. It's not the same. It'll never be the same. But you know what? I think they're doing as good as they possibly could be doing. I'm quite satisfied with where it's gone and how they're just marching forward. Maybe that's a hot take. I don't think it is. I think most people are pretty satisfied with what's happening. Like I said, it's never going to be the same, but it's as good as better than I thought it was. I was worried for a minute. Anyway, this is just fabulous. I love it. I can't say enough about it. Just the story and the heart and the soul and the tragedy and the heartache and the pain, and oh my gosh, just so well realized this story is. And last but not least is, of course, my favorite, Blam. This one's not too terrible of a hot take. I am in pretty good company, I think, when I say that it's my favorite of all time, and there's quite a few other people that I know agree with me. And just Nihei. Nihei's my boy. Nihei speaks to me. And his art, I think in particular, speaks to me. He has my favorite art. Now, I don't know. This is another one. When you talk about the best art in manga, I don't know where he lands in the conversation. He's easily my favorite because something about the way he draws and the way he presents pictures just speaks to my soul. I love it. But is it technically better than, say, Inoue? Probably not. Is it technically better than Miura? Probably not. But that doesn't change the fact that I like it better. Like I said, something about it speaks to me. And then it's so lonely and it's so almost non-existent of dialogue. You have to figure the story out on your own just by looking at the pictures. You'll go 20 pages of just these weird, haunting, lonely, empty pictures that just give you this weird feeling, like I said, loneliness, and there's no dialogue for 20 pages at a time. You're just like, what is even happening right now? And then by the end of it, that's the other thing, you don't really know. There's a whole lot of mystery to it. There's a whole lot of just nothingness to it that I love because he doesn't explain anything. There's so much that you're just like, I don't understand what's happening. I don't understand what's going on. I don't know. Why are these people here and then they're gone? And then we're looking for the what? The net terminal gene? What does that even do? Like, and then in the end, like, I still couldn't tell you what it does or if we found it or what, you know, was it, I don't know. Anyway, it's just, the weird mystery, nothing that makes sense, just fucking throwing shit at you and then walking away in the messy ass art style. That's me. That's everything about it. I love it. I just, once again, eat that shit up. Just my favorite. I don't know if it'll ever be replaced. We're going to try. I'm going to keep reading and I'm going to keep trying to find better and better manga. So maybe someday something is going to take its crown, but that day is not today. Anyway, please, I want to know down in the comments below, what is your favorite manga of all time? Or give me your entire list. As always, everybody, the link for my Patreon is in the description below. The link for my Discord's in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.